Hello, welcome back to the channel. My name is Lisa Elvin-Steltari, and I'm a genealogist and a passionate traveler. Today we're looking at Les Filles Mariées, the marriageable girls. And this is my new series. We are now on episode number 13. We've got about 250 or so to go. Got a long way. My other series called Les Filles du Roi, it has been going for quite some time, so have a look at that if that is also a subject of interest to you. Before we begin, let's talk about how there are ways you can support the channel. The first three keep you in the loop. Subscribe, like, and notify are all things that really help the channel. And then if you want to further make that commitment, the next three ways are ways to help the channel continue to expand. Coffee, Etsy, and Patreon are all financial ways of helping the channel grow. So thank you to those of you who have participated thus far. Very, very, very grateful to you. Let's get started and find out who is episode number 13. Mariées are a group of women who came between 1634 and 1662. It was not a state-sponsored, it was not an organized thing. It was just brave women who decided that this was their best chance. Sometimes this was their only chance. Certainly they would have been contacted by a church or a merchant or someone who would have said, hey, perhaps you want to go to New France. There are opportunities there. They're looking for women to really settle the place. And so these filles mariées, marriageable girls, ended up going to a place which was, to be quite honest, pretty much wilderness. It was not a civilized society yet. And so for them to take that chance really shows their courage. Certainly 1634, some of these ladies came really, really early, just as the New France was getting going, really. Peter J. Gagne, incredible book, Les Filles Mariées, which is accompanying to his Filles du Roi series of books. Les Filles Mariées goes into detail about each and every one of these ladies, and absolutely one of the definitions for Les Filles Mariées is that they could not be, can't just be a daughter of somebody who's already here. It has to be someone who literally took that chance and came across. And so on her own, typically, or with a few other ladies, but it wasn't like the contingents of Filles du Roi that would come 90 or 100 girls at a time. This was truly one at a time, which is why it was about 30 years, period, and New France was not thriving, because you can't build a country on that few women. Some years there would be one or two women alone. So this is why Les Filles du Roi, the King's Daughters program, began. So that is the backstory, if you will. Now this was also a viewer request. Her name is Elisabeth Hagouin. I believe I'm saying it correctly. And let's get to know Elisabeth a little bit better. I have not seen her in any of my files. So Elisabeth was born about 1646 in the town or commune of Coupery, which is found in the Grand Est. You can see it on the middle of the PowerPoint. And it's found in the Haute-Marne department. So you can see it's kind of like really deep in that section. It currently has about 155 people living there. So it's a very, very small community. I was able to find a little sign, a kind of an old sign of, Coupery is there. And obviously it's a very old village. The church has been there since the medieval times. Certainly this would have been a place where she would have come and definitely would have wanted to expand her world. Let's see what she ended up doing. So Elisabeth comes to New France in 1662. There was a marriage contract that was made with a man named François Roy, but ultimately was canceled, and they did not go forth with the marriage. So let's see who she selected and who selected her ultimately. So the groom that eventually she finds, and who finds her, his name is Antoine Courtemanche de Jolicoeur. He was born in 1640 in Vannes, the commune of Vannes, France. His parents were Pierre Courtemanche and Marie Houdet. Now, you'll notice that he's from the Grand Est region, same region as her. And guess what? Same département, Haute-Marne. And it has about 370 people that live there now. So again, a very small place. And another kind of the very similar sign. So we know that they were obviously very close neighbors. Did they know each other? Was it a connection? We do not know. We do know that Antoine did come to Canada in 1659. He was recruited. He was an engagé and would have fulfilled a contract. And in 1663, he actually enlisted in that militia that I was talking about and became one of those people who would defend Montreal. So very, very brave fellow. Just wanted to point out the name. I love that name, Antoine Courtemanche. Courtemanche is a very common name in Quebec, even to this day. And dit joli cœur. So Courtemanche means short sleeves. And joli cœur means happy heart. So I really like that name. So approximately 6 to 9 months after her arrival, she and Antoine are married on the 26th of April, 1663. And they are married in Montreal, and that is their marriage record. So Antoine and Elisabeth would make their lives in Montreal and Ville-Marie. Let's talk a little bit about this wonderful place. And I haven't mentioned it lately when I've been talking about Montreal, because people in Three Rivers and Quebec City were they kind of laughed it off because they thought, who would ever go and live on an island? Plus, it was like surrounded by water. Guess what could come? Canoes. Indians were constantly attacking it. So it was not a safe place. And it was very, very difficult to create a colony. And it was founded in 1642, but by 1653, it was definitely close to being extinct. There was a few people living there. But so Paul de Chomedy, Serre de Maisonneuve, said, I'm going to go and get some people. And so he went to France and got 100 recruits. And among them was Marguerite Bourgeois, the famous woman who founded the Congregation de Notre-Dame. Out of those 100 recruits, built this incredible city of Montreal, which is an international city. And in fact, in 1663, 10 years later, Chamonix further created the militia that Antoine would eventually join to defend this city. So Antoine in 1667 is, 27 years old. His wife Elisabeth is 21. Madeleine, their daughter, is 3.5, and Antoine is 15 months. And they have about 4 acres of land, 6 arpents à valeur. So this is a start to their lives. So Antoine and Elisabeth would have 4 children. Madeleine would marry Jean Roy and have 3 children, all of whom made it. Anne would marry Laurent Archambault and have 8 children, all of whom made it. Antoine would marry Marguerite Vaudreuil and have 15 children, 7 of whom made it. Their last child, Elisabeth, became a nun with the Notre-Dame congregation. So just as things were beginning to develop well, Antoine would die such an early death, 31 years old. We do not know what he died of. We do know that he was buried on the 16th of June, 1671 in Montreal. Just a really sad and sudden death. For those of you who lay claim to this Antoine Courtemanche, I was able to find, strangely enough, there is no association of the Courtemanche that I could find. Please let me know in the comments below if you find it. I was able to find, however, on Amazon, a book for sale on the Histoire de la famille Courtemanche that was written. So you might want to have a look at that. And I posted a link to Amazon. So within the year, Elisabeth would marry again. You remember she had 4 young children and was new to the to this world, was absolutely probably terrified. So let's have a look at who she selected and who selected her. Her second groom's name was Paul W., and he was born about 1646 in the commune of Rainville in France, which is part of the Hauts-de-France region, and his département is in the Somme. His parents were Samuel and Hélène Godefroy. Let's have a look at their marriage. On August 11th, 1672, she and Paul were married at Notre Dame in Montreal. The family was one of the earliest settlers of Rivière des Prairies. This was a very challenging area to settle because of the fact that it literally resides on a river, and so the Indians were constantly attacking it, and they were able to fortify this and create a militia and create some sort of barricade that permitted it. Today, Rivière des Prairies is part of Pointe-aux-Trembles. It's all kind of amalgamated, but this is kind of the area as it exists today. This is the 1681 census where you find Paul, and he is living with Elisabeth, Hagouin. Do you see the spelling of her name, how challenging it is? Their children, Anne, Antoine, Elisabeth, Jeanne, François, Marie, Jean. They have 2 guns, two goats, and about 4 to 5 acres of land in this new area. Unimaginable tragedy occurs. In 1687, there was a smallpox epidemic, and Elisabeth, the mother, would watch in horror as one by one her family died. First came Jeanne, who was 13 years old, in October. François, her 11-year-old, would pass away in October of 1687. Marie-Madeleine, 9 years old, in November. Jean-Paul, who was 6 years old, December of 1687. And finally, and most heartbreaking of all, Paul, who would die at 45 in December of 1687. I just cannot imagine the grief, the terror, just what she would have had to go through. And I don't know if she became ill or not, and if she survived. I mean, if she had it or not. But let's carry on, as she did. So you can see that they actually had 8 children. We have Jeanne, who passed in this epidemic, François, Marie-Madeleine. Now we have Jean, who would marry Marie-Françoise French and have 11 children, 5 of whom would make it to adulthood. We have Jean-Paul, who died as a young person. We have Marguerite, who would become a nun with the Congregation de Notre Dame. We have Suzanne, who would pass away in infancy. And Jean-Paul would marry Marie-Françoise Lesage and have 6 children, 3 of whom would make it. And absolutely, I cannot even imagine. She had 3 surviving children left after 1687. Somewhere, somehow, she found the strength to carry on, because she would only pass away April 11th, 1718, at 72 years of age. She would have survived unspeakable loss, 2 husbands, so many children, and yet she gave us 112 descendants out of those 2 marriages. I would love to find out which of these marriages you come from, which is yours. If it's a Courtemanche or Devilliers, please let me know. I think she is just one of the bravest and most heartbreaking heroines I've yet seen in all of these videos that I've done. As always, these are the resources I use. I have posted the links to all of the information that you need to be able to explore your roots a little bit deeper. Have a look at them, and let me know in the comments below if there's anything else that you would like me to feature in these resources. And so we end episode 13, just an amazing, amazing story. Thank you to the viewer who suggested it, because there are no words to say how much I admire her bravery. She inspires me. The fact that she kept going just amazes me. And just where she got that strength, we'll never know. But she had it, she used it, and thanks to her, we have descendants from her line who are, I am sure, are equally as strong. So we bless her memory, we thank her contribution, and we are ever so grateful that she came to our shores. Until I see you on episode 14, au revoir.